Okay, you guys, I wanted to share some of Professor Sam Vaknin's video. I don't think he will copyright me. I hope not. But he is a self-professed narcissist. It has taken me a very long time to really understand him. And that's because I have listened to and watched a lot of YouTube videos regarding narcissists. I read quite a few books and just done a lot of deep diving on it. And basically it's a lot of people, who's going against the word narcissist, but it really doesn't matter what a person is called. It's very vindictive, manipulative, cruel, abusive, controlling, no empathy types of behavior, period. So I tried to put closed captions. He does not have it on, unfortunately, but he has a bit of a German accent. But this is very good. The name of the video is called Fleecing Victims, Self-Aware Narcissists Online. I'm actually going to be watching this video several times, while I do my housework or whatever. So listen to what he has to say here.
Contumacious, rejects and hates authority, and reckless. So the narcissist will not avoid punishment, will not even transition to stage one. Remember stage one in Kohlberg's scheme? Stage one is the avoidance of punishment. Stage two is self-interest. To remind you, according to Kohlberg, the child's moral reasoning initially, stage one, is based on punishment, on direct consequences of the child's actions.
Sir, I stopped it in a really weird place, but he's talking about, I believe, another psychologist, Kohlberg, which of course I haven't studied. I did go online and look for some things written by him. You guys, it's all the way in psychoanalyst, psychologist, psychiatrist, psychiatry language. It's it's good, but you better be able to understand other terminologies. Anyways, just want to add that.
Child anticipates and foresees and predicts punishment, and to avoid it, he imposes constraints and limitations and restrictions on his own behavior. Similarly, a bit later, in stage two, the child begins to weigh his options, his behavioral options, to weigh them in terms of punishment and reward. And the child tends to gravitate towards the rewards. Not only children, but even animals do this. There are only two exceptions: the narcissist and the psychopath. Narcissists and psychopaths are not responsive to punishments and to rewards, to positive reinforcement and to negative reinforcements. They can never be conditioned in this sense.
Where have we seen that before, you guys? Does that sound familiar to anybody here? The law does not apply to them. They don't deserve punishment, or somehow, amidst all of these other people that go to prison or jail for the exact same things that they do, they're not going to prison. And I'm not talking about, the people, the very powerful, say that loosely, at the very top that have infinite amounts of money and power and bloodletting and sacrificial energies. I'm talking about everyday people.
And in the case of the narcissist, it's because he's not embedded in reality. He is subject or a victim of a fantasy defense gone haywire. So the narcissist is unable to connect his actions to the consequences of his actions.
He's in a fantasy, some type of fantasy. We've never seen that before in the Scientology community, have we? And I'm not ditching Scientologists here. What I mean here, I'm talking about more of the former Scientologists that are going after the abuses and crimes of Scientology. We've never seen that amongst people, have we? Wearing weirdo suits and things like that, have we? COINTELPRO.
The psychopath regards punishment as divorced completely from his actions. That's why psychopaths always feel that their punishment is unjust. They always they feel discriminated against. They feel.
I hate to keep interrupting him, but I mean, honestly, this video is so freaking amazingly good. I have to watch. I'm going to be watching this over and over. I like to study. What do you call it? Like unregulated, dysregulated, unhealthy, toxic human psychological behaviors. It's just interesting to me, especially since I have dealt with it so many times in my own personal life, within my family as well as so-called friends and jobs, of course. It's just fascinating to me. And the one way that you will find out if somebody is like narcissistic, sometimes psychopathic, or straight up toxic, whatever word you choose, the law does not apply to them. Punishments do not apply to them. If somebody tries to call them out for their actions, they're going to play the victim. And, you know, different narcissists, different strokes. Psychopaths are a different ballgame. Actually, I think in the last few years I have seen some individuals that demonstrate psychopathic behaviors, to be honest. But I am not professional. I cannot diagnose, nor am I trying to diagnose. But anyways, I like how he's talking about, you know, punishments do not apply. And then he talks about them going to the victim mode. And another thing we all know about narcissistic behaviors or toxic is that they will never, ever, ever take responsibility. When they are called out to take responsibility, they will deflect, they will minimize, they will deny, they will straight out lie, and obviously, and first and foremost, they're going to gaslight until the cows come home. So let's go back to some of the really juicy tidbits that Professor Vaknin, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Professor Vaknin is giving us here.
That other people are punishing them and they shouldn't. Because the psychopath believes that the authority or the institution or the person who is punishing them only because they can. Psychopaths have no concept of justice. The actions of the psychopaths should not bring about punishment. And if they do, the punishment has nothing to do with the actions. It's just a display of power. Brute, raw power.
A display of power. Do you guys remember, well, I became aware of this independent reporter who went, I wished I could remember what state it was in. It was somewhere on the East Coast. I feel like what he did was not very wise or common sense. That's my opinion. But he went to ask a head police officer, a chief. I think he was a chief. He was higher up on the scale of, you know, the bureaucracy of the police. I can't thank you guys. You guys know what I mean, like the top of the chain or whatever. And he was really being called out because there was some really strange things going on with him, unquestionable behavior, which of course is always reason to promote people in some of these organizations, as well as everyday citizens were wanting him to be ousted from his position because of all of the spending, just loose spending of the budget that he had access to without any type of showing receipts. And this reporter, I wish I could think of his name, he went out and tried to ask him questions at his home, which I do not think was like a very wise decision at all. And this dude, this chief of police guy, or whatever his title was, came out armed and on live video there was a cameraman as well as the reporter. On live video, you guys, was saying, why do you keep threatening to kill me? You guys think that these fools haven't done this before? You guys know what's up. You know what's up, and so do I. So when Professor Vaknin was talking about, in loose terms, I'll say, that they don't have to answer to anyone. It reminded me of that. So let's go back to him. Look what he's doing with his hands, you guys. Where have we seen that before?
So psychopaths cannot make the link, absolutely cannot form the link between misconduct, misbehavior, and misdeeds, and crimes, and punishment. These, in their minds, are totally unrelated events and reflect the power matrix. The police is more potent and stronger than the psychopath, so of course they punish the psychopath. Because they can. Because they have...
Unless some of the police officers are psychopaths. And we know not all cops are like that, but I'm sure there are a lot of cops listening to this. They're like, yep, she's right. I mean, I just think that a lot of these kinds of personalities are going to be drawn. Well, what is that called? Qualified immunity? I mean, hello. Hello. And we're not even going to talk about politicians, but let's get back to him.
Weapons. Because aggression and violence are normal modes of communication and interrelatedness in the psychopath's world. And so, the narcissist and the psychopath fail to develop stages 1 and 2 because they are unable to create an internal working model which incorporates information about the world, information about themselves, and information about other minds. Something that is known as theory of mind. This failure to develop an internal working model is the outcome of an earlier failure to come up with a constellated, integrated self, or what Freud used to call ego. Narcissists and psychopaths don't have a self. They don't have an ego. They don't have any coordinating authority or coordinating function, executive function, which puts together all the various self-states within a coherent narrative. They don't have this. They're not cohesive.
That's very interesting. And I'm not going to keep going, and thank you, Professor, if you allow me to keep this on my YouTube channel. But it's very interesting to me how he's explaining this. He's so well read. I think that's when I first started listening to him, I was always lost. But now I start to, because I've been studying it for a while, it like kind of sinks in. That's why you see these narcissists, and I can't speak too much about the psychopaths because, I mean, I do think, well, all psychopaths are narcissists, number one. But 100% all narcissists are not psychopaths. So if you do a little studying of it, you'll see why. But, excuse me. That's why they always have to create like a false narrative. Oh, I care about women's rights. I care about victims. You know, that might be one. Or, I don't know, I love puppies, or something to manipulate other people to believing, oh, they're such a great person. And meanwhile, they're sucking every dime out of people, or they're using a woman for sex, or they are, what's the other thing I was thinking of? I mean, obviously con artists come into this one. I'm trying to think of other narratives. Well, we see how many of these so-called religious leaders, ecclesiastical leaders like either Scientologists or Mormons or Catholic priests, and Catholic, that goes deep, you guys, but we see how many of them are coming out finally. A lot of them are not being punished, but they're going to get theirs eventually, as far as the abuse of children. So they were putting on this false facade to the world that they were such this pious, good-natured, loving human being. Even the book that I had read of Miss America, the book Miss America by Day, where her father was very, very, well, they were wealthy, and that's not everything, trust me. They're a wealthy family. He was very powerful. I forgot what industry he was in. And meanwhile, he was abusing her, his own daughter, every night. From the age, I think from the age of 3 or 4 years old until she left the house. Make it even worse, the mother knew. So these people are everywhere. I don't think they're people.
They're kaleidoscopic, they're fragmented. So they experience their own lives as dissociated and disjointed. And so they can't see, there's no causation, there's no cause and effect in the narcissists and psychopaths' lives and minds. A doesn't lead to B necessarily, crime doesn't lead to punishment necessarily. It could and does happen that A and B co-occur. So even if B follows A on a regular basis, in the psychopath's mind, it doesn't mean that A causes B.
So they don't correlate it. And I want to make a disclaimer. I did not ever imply that Professor Vaknin was doing some type of hand sign. We just know that certain groups use that sign, that's all. I use it too when I'm thinking. So anyways, let's listen to a little more, and then I'm gonna end it for a minute here.
That B is somehow related to A in a highly correlated manner. There's no correlation, let alone causation. Everything is just a hodgepodge of totally random events. So they don't
chaos.
Don't even enter stage 1 and 2. And of course, consequently, they never graduate to stages 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I will bet Liz Gale would be interested in this since she has a degree in child development. Anyways, as much as I want to continue on with this, I think that would not be fair for me to air his entire video, but it is so freaking good to me, in my mind. So I hope that you guys go and watch his whole video if you have a minute, or, do it while you're cleaning house or after work, or, whenever you have some time. To me, it's delicious. So have an amazing day, and I will leave a link to the original video in the description box. Peace.